我哋分享一篇讀上帝給予我們唯一的抉擇，同埋有葉永婷姊妹翻譯。
好多謝牧師咧，俾太子呢個機會再一次嚟到同大家分享。
Thank you, Pastor, for giving me the chance to share this message with you.
咁喺開始嘅時候咧，我有一個嘅少少嘅一個獨白劇咧，係同大家去分享嘅。
And before I start, I have this little drama to show you.
咁我想請夏娃出嚟先。
And I want to invite Eve to come.
哇！喺夏娃你睇下
Eve, look.
上帝俾我哋呢個伊甸園，你睇下幾靚。
Look at this Garden of Eden, so beautiful.
嗱，嗰隻好多頭髮，叫起上嚟咧，哇哇聲嘅嗰隻叫咩啊？
Look at that. That's very hairy, furry thing.
嗰隻叫獅子。
It's lion.
嗱，呢邊呢一隻咧？
And this one.
呢隻咧隻牙好長嘅。
And the teeth is very long.
然後跟住咧個鼻哥咧又同一時間又好長嘅。
And the nose is very long as well.
你知唔知嗰隻叫咩咧
Do you know which or what is it called?
嗰隻叫大笨象，
It's called elephant.
嗱，全部都係上帝啊，叫我幫佢哋命名嘅，你睇下幾犀利。
It's all of them. God asked me to name them.
你睇下幾多花花草草樹木。
Look at all the flowers and trees.
呢笪地方真係靚。
This is such a beautiful place.
特別係嗰一棵。
Look at that tree.
嗰棵上帝叫咩樹話
And what did God call that tree?
分別善惡樹。
It's the tree of knowledge and of good and evil.
上帝叫我哋唔好咩話
And what did God say?
佢叫我哋唔好食佢樹上面嘅果子。
God told us not to eat the fruits from this tree.
伊甸園裏面啊，每一棵樹上面果子我都食過晒啦。
And all the trees here in Garden of Eden, I've eaten their fruits.
係得呢棵我未食過。
It's only this tree that I haven't tried its fruits.
啊，唔知咩味嘅咧？
Don't know how does it taste like.
我咬一啖攞翻出嚟都得啦，其實我唔使食。
If I take a bite and I spit it out, it's still okay, right?
啊，有咩咁特別咧？
What is it so special
我
about
哋點
this
解對
fruit?
我？
Why did you
我
hold
唔
back?
係話食，我只不過想摸下佢啫。
I didn't say I want to eat it, I just want to touch it.
摸都唔得，好唔好
Okay,
摸
so
啦？
I shouldn't touch it as well.
可以翻嚟啦。剛才咧完全係我自己想像出嚟嘅一啲對白。
So that is all from my imagination.
咁樣咧，聖經裏面係冇嘅。
So it's not in the Bible.
咁所以大家唔需要擔心喺聖經裏面咧揾唔到剛才嘅嘢。
So don't worry, you won't find this in the Bible.
但喺過往咁多年嘅查經班同埋主日學嘅裏邊，
So in the Bible study that I had before,
好多嘅組長同埋組員其實都有發問過剛才一啲嘅問題。
so a lot of group leaders and group members actually asked this question.
其實係好有意思，
And it's actually very meaningful.
大家可以試想像一下，
And we can all imagine.
亞當夏娃被擺放喺呢個伊甸園裏邊，
So Adam and Eve, they're placed in the Garden of Eden.
佢哋係可以自由自在咁去做任何一件事，
They have the freedom to do everything.
而唯一卻係被禁止嘅只有一件。
But there's only one thing that they're forbidden to do.
剛才呢個獨白劇所表達嗰個嘅環境，
And the skit just now,
好可能就係亞當夏娃每一日喺伊甸園裏邊所見到嘅一個景象。
the situation that was portrayed in the skit is probably the situation where Adam and Eve face every day.
係一個佢哋可能每日都要經過嘅一個思考嘅抉擇。
It's probably something that Adam and Eve has to think through every day.
人咧總係喜歡選擇嘅，
So man likes to make decisions.
我哋會覺得選擇係一個權利，
We think that this is a right.
有得揀總比冇得揀好。
And able to choose is better than if we have no choice.
如果大家咧有去過一啲嘅洋人嘅婚禮嘅晚宴嘅時候，
If you've gone to some Western wedding reception,
我哋會知道咧有一種嘅上菜嘅方法咧叫做 alternate drop。
and we know that there's a kind of like dinner style which is called alternative drop.
咁簡單嚟講就係 A 餐同 B 餐。
And in simple terms, it's A or B.
係啦，我坐喺呢度嘅時候咧，咁個侍應就會俾一個 A 餐我。
So the waiter will give me meal A if I sit here.
我側邊嗰個就會 B 餐，
And the person who sit next to me will get
再
meal
加一
A.
個翻返 A 餐，
And then the next one after will get A.
冇得揀。
And there's no choice.
但係如果你同側邊嗰個咧係可以有協議嘅話咧，
But if you can come to an agreement with the person next to you,
你哋兩個就可以交換啦。
and you two can swap.
好多時華人都唔係好中意呢一樣嘢啊！
So a lot of time, us Chinese didn't like this style.
就算擺喺你面前嗰碟菜係幾咁靚都好，
Even if the plate in front of you is really pretty,
你都總係喜歡咧有得夾下揀下。
and you still like to have a choice.
我記得我嘅契女啊 Jasmine，
I remember my goddaughter Jasmine,
佢5、6歲嘅時候咧，
when she's 5 or 6 years old,
佢好中意一隻顏色
and she really liked a color.
係粉紅色。
It's pink.
你會發現佢無論係着上身或者食落肚嘅嘢，都係中意粉紅色。
You find that whatever she dressed or whatever she put eat is
我
all
有次
pink.
帶佢去食雪糕，
And once I took her to
我話
ice
俾佢
cream,
聽嗰啲黑掹掹啡啡地色嗰隻好好食。
I told her that those brown color ones is really yummy.
小朋友唔識，
And she's young and she didn't know, and it's chocolate flavor.
佢見到顏色唔鮮豔嘅時候，佢唔揀。
And she saw that the color is nice, so she
佢
didn't
都係中
pick
意
it.
翻去咧啲鮮豔顏色嗰啲嘅雪糕嗰度。
And she still preferred the colorful ones.
可能你會覺得好得意，
You might think it's quite
小
funny.
朋友天真無邪，
Little kids, they are pure,
亦都唔計較佢哋嘅選擇到底係咪理性。
and they don't have rational thinking.
但係其實有陣時大朋友嘅我哋嘅選擇都唔一定係理性。
But sometimes even us as adults, our choice might not be
我香港
rational.
有個朋友，
I have a friend in Hong Kong.
佢切碎咗嘅冬菇係唔食嘅，
So the Chinese mushroom, if you chop it, he won't eat it.
佢覺得唔好睇，
And he thinks that it
佢一
doesn't
定要
look
成
nice.
隻上嘅冬菇佢先食
It
嘅。
has to be the whole mushroom.
又或者咧，我記得我自己，
And I remember myself,
當我感冒傷風、喉嚨痛，
whenever I have a cold and sore throat,
然後跟住稍為好轉嘅時候咧，
and if just when I get slightly better,
我就已經即刻跑去 KFC 度買炸雞食啦。
and I would go to KFC and buy fried chicken to eat.
可能你會話：，我唔食炸雞嘅。
And you might say, I don't eat fried chicken.
咁我想問下大家，
And I'd like to ask you,
在座當中有冇高血壓高膽固醇嗰啲
do you
嘅？
have high blood pressure or high cholesterol?
醫生同你點樣講嘅？
And what did the doctor say?
有好多嘢唔食得啊！
A lot of things we can't
嗰啲
eat.
嘅燒肉燒鴨嗰啲，
Those roast pork, roast duck,
醫生咧係會叫你唔好食嘅。
the doctor will ask you not to have it.
咁但係咧，當你去食晚餐嘅時候，
But when you are at dinner,
你見到嗰啲燒肉燒鴨好鬼靚咁樣擺喺個台前面，
you saw that the roast pork and the roast duck looked
你
really
就會有嗰
nice.
種引誘，
And you'll be tempted,
你都會好忍唔住咧走去夾。
and you can't help yourself but
有
to
陣時對我
have
哋
it.
成年人都一樣，
Sometimes to us adults,
有益嘅嘢我哋唔一定食，
things that are good for you, we might not want it.
冇益嘅嘢又唔一定唔食㗎喎。
But those that are not good for you,
相信大家都有呢個經驗。
so I'm sure a lot of you have this experience.
我哋一齊嚟到再睇一次今日呢段經文。
So let us look at today's verses.
喺創世記嘅裏邊，起初嘅人類亞當同夏娃係點樣嘅被陷入呢個試探嘅裏邊？
So in Genesis, we can see how the human, Adam and Eve, they fall into the temptation.
並且係點樣嘅失敗？
And how did they fail?
我哋一齊讀呢個3章第1節好唔好啊？
Let us read chapter 3, verse 1.
好，預備起。 留意。
So let us take note.
蛇係點樣嘅同夏娃打開佢嘅話題呢？
How did the serpent open up the conversation with Eve?
我哋主日學嘅時候成日都會問，
So during Sunday school, we always ask.
當初喺伊甸園裏面嘅蛇咧，可能唔係而家嘅蛇咁嘅樣嘅。
So the serpents that was in the Garden of Eden might not look like the
女孩
serpents
子一
now.
定怕蛇係咪？
And us girls who most likely afraid of snakes.
當成條蛇咁樣走埋嚟嘅時候，應該佢就會走咗㗎啦。
If the serpents come against you, you would run away.
仲曉講嘢添，
And it knows how to speak.
嚇死人啦！
And it's quite scary.
咁所以基本上係唔可能有呢個對話嘅機會。
So this won't have a chance for conversation.
不過呢個唔係今日我哋討論嘅問題。
But this is not something that we will
蛇
discuss.
點樣打開呢個話題？
So how did the serpent open up the conversation?
佢刻意嘅問咗一條錯誤嘅問題。
And he purposely asked an incorrect question.
佢問夏娃係咪園中樹上所有嘅果子都唔食得？
He asked Eve, are all the fruits from the trees in the garden not eatable?
我哋大家知道呢條問題問錯咗，
And we know that this is an incorrect
但係蛇
question.
就係刻意咁樣嚟到去問。
But the serpent asked this purposely.
佢要夏娃係充滿自信嘅嚟到去更正佢嘅問題。
He wants Eve to be full of confidence to
人總
correct
係
the
喜歡
serpent.
更正人哋嘅錯誤，係咪？
We all like to correct others' mistakes.
所以夏娃同蛇咁樣講：
So Eve told the serpent,
蛇啊蛇啊，
serpent,
嗱你錯啦，
you're wrong.
上帝唔係咁講。
God didn't say that.
上帝只係話其中一棵樹上面嘅果子，分別是我樹上面嘅果子唔食得啫。
God only said there was only one tree, which is the tree of knowledge of good and
其實如果
evil.
大家睇英文嘅時候咧，更加清楚嘅翻譯嘅版本應該係知識善惡樹。
So in English, the translation is knowledge of good and evil.
咁樣會對後來經文嘅體會係容易啲嘅明白。
It will help us to understand the verses which comes later.
跟住到第4節，
And in verse 4,
蛇係點樣答呢個女人？
so how did the servant reply to Eve?
當佢嚟到去問呢條問題之後，跟住女人話俾佢聽，唔係只有一棵樹嘅上面嘅果子係唔食得嘅啫。
So Eve said there's only one tree that we're not allowed to eat the fruits from.
蛇點樣答啊？
And how did the servants
我哋一齊讀
reply?
呢一句好嘛？
We'll read together.
預備起。不一定死。
Not surely die.
蛇放咗一個暗示喺對夏娃呢個回答嘅裏面。
So the servants hinted.
一個咩嘅暗示咧？
What kind of hint?
就係懷疑。
That's doubt.
如果我哋容許有呢個懷疑存在喺我哋心裏面嘅時候，
If we allow doubt in our hearts,
我哋就會開始慢慢嘅遠離上帝嘅説話。
we will start to slowly distance away from God's
嗱，
word.
蛇從來冇第一句就話上帝講嘅嘢係錯嘅。
And the servants didn't come along and say that the word that God said is wrong.
佢只係同夏娃咁講，就係話上帝所講嘅唔一定啱。
He only say that what God say may not be right.
咁樣嘅話就容許咗一個空間，
So it allowed.
我哋會去諗，
So we might think.
既然上帝嘅説話唔絕對係啱嘅時候，
So if God's word is not absolutely right,
我就有辦法可以揾一個更加適合嘅答案嚟到解決我生命裏面嘅問題。
then I can find a better answer to deal with things, problems in our lives.
我哋就會嘗試用自己嘅方法嚟到開始去揸主意。
So we'll start to use our own ways to make decisions for ourselves.
翻返去剛才嗰啲膽固醇高、血壓高嘅朋友，
So coming back to the high blood pressure, high cholesterol people,
醫生係點樣忠告你哋嘅咧？
and what did the doctor say?
燒肉啊、燒鴨嗰啲咧，千祈唔好食，
And roast pork and
食嗰日你就死
roast,
啦。
you must not eat, otherwise you will die.
然後跟住食晚飯嘅時候咧，
And then during dinner time,
魔鬼就可能咁樣同你講，
and Satan might come along and say,
醫生就梗係咁講啦，
and the doctor, of course, the doctor will
佢
say
係
that.
醫生嚟噶嘛。
He's the doctor.
萬一你走去就算食少少有咩事，咁佢咪要負責任咯。
So if you eat the roast pork and something happened to you, he will be
所以食少
responsible
少
for it.
係冇問題嘅。
So if you eat a little bit, it's
你
okay.
下次見佢嘅時候開翻啲藥俾你食咪得咯。
So next time when you see the doctor can prescribe you with some medicine.
喺經文嘅裏面，最後夏娃係點樣啊？
And in the verses, what did Eve do?
我哋一齊嘅讀呢一段第6節啦，
So let's read verse 6.
預備起。使徒約翰喺約翰一書嘅裏面咁樣勸勉弟兄姊妹，
So Apostle John in the book of 1 John,
要離開罪惡。
you have to get away from sin.
點樣嘅離開罪惡呢？
How do we distance away from sin?
就係唔好去愛世界。
Not loving the world.
點樣為之愛世界呢？
What do we mean by loving the world?
喺約翰一書2章16節嗰度咁樣講，
In 1 John chapter 2 verse 16.
我哋一齊嚟讀，
Let's read it together.
預備起。因為世界上的事，就像肉體的情慾、眼目的情慾，並今生的驕傲，都不是從父來的，乃是從世界來的。約翰叫我哋留心嘅有3件事，
So John asked us to take note of 3 things.
呢3件事正正就係每當我哋落入試探裏面嘅時候，我哋會考慮嘅一啲嘢。
Those 3 things are when we fall into temptation, the 3 things that we will consider.
當我哋睇創世記同埋約翰一書嘅時候，
So when we read Genesis and 1 John,
我哋見到一個咁嘅對照，
we see this comparison
夏娃係點樣嘅最後失敗呢？
and how did Eve fail.
佢所見到嘅係呢一個分別善惡樹上嘅果子係好作食物，
So she saw that the fruits on the tree of knowledge of good and evil is good for food.
對應喺約翰一書裏面嘅肉體嘅情慾，
And compare with cravings of our flesh
醫飽個肚胃
to fill us up,
，feel us up。
fill our stomach.
第二樣嘅嘢係悅人嘅眼目，並且係可喜愛嘅，
And the second thing is pleasing to the eyes.
呢個係對應眼目嘅情慾。
And this is compared with lust of eyes.
第三係使人有智慧，
And the third is about gaining wisdom.
人都係中意有智慧，
We all like to have
中意
wisdom.
比人叻，
We like to be better than others.
對應住今生嘅驕傲。
And compare with the boasting of what we have.
約翰指出咗，當人類落入試探裏面嘅時候，
And John pointed out when we fall into temptation,
我哋要嚟到陷入試探並且失敗嘅話，呢3個係其中最主要嘅要素。
we fall into temptation and we fail. These 3 things are the main reasons.
弟兄姊妹，一方面我哋懷疑，
On one hand, we doubt.
我哋懷疑上帝嘅説話，
We doubt God's word
因為佢唔再係一定嘅正確。
because it's not absolutely correct.
另一方面，我哋容許呢一啲嘅肉體嘅情慾、
On the other hand, we allow the desires of our flesh,
眼目嘅情慾
the eyes,
lust of the eyes，
lust of the eyes,
同埋今生嘅驕傲
and boasting of what we have
嚟到去阻礙咗我哋嘅決定。
to influence our decisions
嚟到容許佢哋成為咗我哋生活裏面嗰啲嘅抉擇嘅一部分，
and to make it part of what we make our decision.
我哋就跌落魔鬼試探裏邊，
And then we fall into Satan's temptation.
我哋就好似係伸手嘅嚟到去摘嗰個分別善惡樹嘅果子咁樣。
It's as if we take a fruit from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil.
當我哋睇創世記嘅時候，
When we read Genesis
我哋讀到亞當夏娃嘅故事，
and we read about Adam and Eve,
我哋會覺得佢哋可能係好幼稚，
we might think that they are very naive.
我哋覺得佢單純，
We think that they are very pure.
我哋會認為自己絕對唔會陷入一個咁樣嘅試探裏邊。
We will think that we definitely will fall into this temptation.
我一定唔會咁容易俾蛇嚟到引誘。
I won't be tempted so easily by the serpent.
弟兄姊妹，我哋唔好睇低呢啲能夠取悅我哋生命嘅呢啲嘅要素。
Brothers and sisters, let us not take it lightly. The things that are pleasing to
呢啲令
our
我哋
eyes.
身體覺得舒服、眼睛覺得舒服嘅事，往往就係我哋犯罪嘅原因。
And the things that are pleasing to us, pleasing to our eyes, is always the things that make us fall into temptation.
我同我太太咧揸車嘅時候咧，由一笪地方去另一個地方，
So me and my wife, when we drive from one place to the other,
我哋成日有唔同嘅意見。
and we often have different opinions.
我太太係一個比較理性嘅人，
So my wife is more rational,
佢會睇地圖，
and she would look at the map
揾一個最短最快嘅路程咧去到目的地。
and try to find the quickest way to the destination.
我就比較隨便嘅，
And I'm more relaxed.
我好深信地球係圓嘅，
I believe that the earth is round.
無論任何一個方向，我都可以去到我目的地。
Whichever direction I take, I will reach my destination.
可能只係用多咗時間咁解啫。
And maybe it takes up more time.
上個月我哋去日本，
And last month we went to Japan.
我哋想去一個地方咧，就係、照片上面咧大家見到嘅，
And we want to go to this place where it's shown in the photo.
喺日本東京嗰度。
It's in Tokyo.
咁嗰度好靚，
And it's very beautiful.
佢係一條咧差唔多1公里嘅路，
It's about a path which is a kilometer
兩邊種咗
long.
樹，
And on both sides there are trees.
樹上面咧掛晒呢啲嘅燈飾。
And there's Christmas decoration on the trees.
咁當晚咧就唔係淨係我同我太太去，
So that night, it's not only me and my wife who went there.
我哋仲帶住幾位朋友，
And we brought along some of our friends.
但係佢哋有講有笑啊，好舒服啊，冇乜點嚟。
And they are following behind us and they were just laughing and
我同我
really
太
relaxed.
太咧就決定咧做帶路嗰個，
And my wife and I, we decided to be the
咁
leader.
我哋都好緊張，
And we're actually quite
因為
anxious
其實我哋都唔識路嘅去過。
because we actually don't know how to go get
咁於是
there.
乎我哋一路行一路行，
So we keep walking.
行到一笪地方咧有分岔路口，
So this come to a place with an intersection.
我好快咧就行咗去左手邊嘅地方，
And I quickly walked to the left.
因為我見到左手邊嗰邊咧前面有一啲嘅旅客攞住相機，
So because I saw some tourists on the left, they're holding a camera.
我就覺得佢哋都應該係要去我去嘅地方，
And I thought they must be going to where I'm heading.
咁我就選擇咗向左手邊行。
So I decided to go to the left.
我太太覺得有啲唔對路，
And my wife thinks that it's
你
not
走埋嚟細
right.
細聲同我講，
And she came over and
喂，好似唔係好啱喎，
it doesn't seem right.
地圖好似話係右手邊喎。
The map says it's the right.
咁喺嗰一刻嘅裏邊，我自尊心咧就出嚟。
So at that time, my pride came out.
咁我既然帶咗大家行呢條路，就點樣都要行落去啦。
And because I've led everyone to the left, so I must follow through.
好好彩，
Luckily,
到最後我哋都係去到呢個地方。
and we did arrive at the destination.
我堅持行嗰度咧，就帶到我哋去嗰個地方嘅入口。
The route that I insist to take took us to the main entrance
而
of
我
the
太
path.
太話行嗰邊咧，
And the path that my wife said
就會去到早一個街口，俾我哋好遠就已經見到入口啦。
and it will arrive at sort of a block away from the main entry.
所以其實係冇乜分別，
So it's actually the same.
都可以去到嗰個地方。
We can both reach the
但大家可以
destination.
想像，
But let's imagine.
如果我哋喺嗰個分岔路口嘅時候，我哋堅持自己嘅意見，
So if at the intersection my wife and I insist on our
我哋
own
死都唔肯
needs
放手，
and we won't give in,
我哋就企咗喺嗰度，大家一齊陪我哋企咗喺度，
then us and our friends will all be standing there
嘥咗嘅大家嘅時間，
and will be wasted our time.
亦都打擾咗嗰晚除夕嘅咁快樂嘅氣氛。
And it will also affect the atmosphere that night.
可能你會話係太嚴重啦，Francis 你講得。
You might have thought this is too serious, right, Francis?
呢啲行路嘅嘢其實每一日都係發生㗎啦，
And these just walking and choosing where to go happen every day.
唔使咁執着嘅，
Don't need to be so stubborn.
或者係，
Maybe.
但係聖經嘅裏面都話俾我哋聽好多嘅例子，
But in the Bible, there are lots of
佢
examples.
叫我哋留意要小心，
It asks us to beware,
小心啲乜嘢？
to be aware of
小
what?
心呢個自我喺裏面膨脹嘅時候，
To be aware of the self-centeredness of
當佢完
ourselves.
全控制咗我哋嘅話，
If we let it take control of us,
就會發生一啲更可怕嘅事。
and something more scary will happen.
聖經裏面有形容過一個嘅弟兄，
In Bible, it has talked about a brother.
佢獻祭俾上帝，
He offers sacrifice to God,
但係上帝喜悅佢弟弟嘅獻祭多過佢。
but God thinks what his brother offered is more pleasing to him.
於是佢點樣啊？
So what did he do?
佢將弟弟殺咗，
He killed his brother
以至到佢嘅祭物係可以變成最好嘅。
so that his sacrifice would become the best.
聖經裏面有一位年事已高嘅老人家，
And in the Bible, it's also talk about a man who is of very old age.
佢好相信上帝會賜俾佢一個仔，
He believed that God will give him a son,
但係遲遲未有答案。
but it hasn't happened for a long time.
於是乎佢自己諗咗個方法，
So he think of a way.
佢娶咗佢太太嘅工人
He got married to his wife's maid servant
嚟到幫佢生仔，
to help him to bear a child.
呢個係一個錯誤。
And this is a mistake.
聖經嘅裏面，上帝叫掃羅王幫佢做一樣嘢，
And in the Bible, God asked King Saul to do something for him.
佢叫掃羅王嚟到攻打嗰啲亞瑪力人，
He asked King Saul to attack the Amalekites.
並且好清楚咁樣吩咐掃羅，
And clearly, God said,
你係要滅絕喺亞瑪力人裏面嘅每一個人同埋牲畜。
you have to destroy the people and all their livestock.
但係掃羅係點樣做啊？
But what did Saul do?
佢見到一啲嘅牲畜好靚、好肥美，
He saw that there's some livestock which looks very fat and
於是乎佢留翻起佢哋。
and he kept them.
佢自己咁樣講，
He said to himself,
佢話呢啲咁肥美嘅牲畜，我留嚟送俾上帝，應該上帝會係開心。
so these wonderful livestock, if I offer them a sacrifice to God, God should be very happy.
結果係上帝非常之唔高興，
And in the end, God is very unhappy.
掃羅亦都受到上帝嘅懲罰。
And King Saul got punished by
弟兄姊
God.
妹，每當我哋堅持用自己嘅意見，
And brothers and sisters, whenever we insist on following our own
用自己嘅
opinion,
感受嚟到判斷對與錯、是與非嘅時候，
to use our own feelings to judge what is right and wrong,
我哋嘅行為就會出現咗問題。
our behavior might be wrong.
我哋每當用自己嘅價值觀嚟到去審斷一啲事情嘅時候，
If we use our own value to judge something,
我哋就好似係伸手嚟到去摘分別善惡樹嘅果子一樣。
it's as if we take out our hand and take a fruit from the tree of knowledge of
我哋
good
就係
and
好似
evil.
模仿上帝嚟到去做決定。
And we're just like wanting to imitate God to make decisions.
弟兄姊妹，我哋每個人嘅知識係有限，
Brothers and sisters, our knowledge are limited.
冇一個人係認識晒世界上面所有嘅學問，係咪？
No one would know everything in the world.
舉一個例子，
For example,
1+1等於幾多？
what's 1 plus 1?
我冇整蠱大家，大家即管答。1+1等於幾多？
What's
係啦，1+1等於2。
so 1 plus 1 is 2.
請問係咪我哋一生出嚟，我哋就知道呢一個嘅知識嘅咧？
Did we know this as soon as we were born?
我哋係被教育，我哋先知道嘅，係咪？
We've been educated so that we know the answer.
就正如世間上面其他嘅學問都一樣，
Just like other knowledges in the world,
我哋慢慢嘅嚟到去學識。
we will slowly learn.
我哋有冇一個人能夠知得到世界上面所有嘅學問啊？
Is anyone here who know all the knowledges of the world?
既然冇嘅時候，我哋又點能夠單憑我哋自己嘅認知
Then how do we, just by our own knowledge,
嚟到好肯定咁樣知道我所做嘅每一個抉擇都係啱或者錯嘅咧？
to know and certain that every decision that we make is right or wrong?
大家有冇讀約伯記？
And anyone has read the book of Job?
約伯記嘅裏面咧，頭嗰30幾章，
In the first 30 odd chapters of Job,
我哋睇到約伯係點樣嘅有一個美好嘅家庭，但係跟住有大災難係臨到佢嘅身上面。
we saw that Job, at the beginning, he has a very good family, but then suffering came along.
我哋為到約伯嘅故事，我哋心酸，
We are saddened by the story of Job.
我哋可憐佢，我哋覺得佢好悲慘。
We think that he is very pitiful.
於是乎，我哋好想快啲嘅知道個結局。
So we want to know what's the ending of the story.
我哋好快跳到去第42章，
So we flip through and to chapter 42.
最尾嘅幾節，
And the last few verses.
然後跟住我哋見到乜嘢？
And then what did we see?
上帝賜過嘅比佢嘅比先前嘅更加多。
So what God gave him is more than what he had in the
跟住我哋好
beginning.
開心啊！哇，大團圓結局，
And then we feel that, yeah, it's a happy ending.
冚埋本聖經搞掂睇
And
約伯
we close the Bible, yep, we've read it.
但係我哋往往忽略咗中間有幾章好重要。
We often miss the few chapters which are very important.
第38章到第41章，
Chapter 38 to 41.
可能我哋讀到嗰度嘅時候，我哋覺得好沉長，
And maybe when we get to there, we think that it's very long.
因為上帝用咗好大嘅篇幅係嚟到去同約伯去解釋。
Because God used, He explained to Job,
嗰度先至係約伯記最重要嘅部分。
and this is the most important part of Job.
大家可以翻去睇，
And you guys can go back
佢
and
大
read.
概意思咁樣講。
And the meaning,
上帝同約伯講：
God said to Job,
你知唔知道天有幾高？
do you know how high is the sky?
你知唔知道海有幾深？
Do you know how deep is the sea?
你知唔知道我其中所做嘅萬物，
Do you know all the creation?
佢哋嗰個運作嘅關係？
How do they work together?
今日約伯你單靠你自己嘅個人嘅經歷
And today, just of your own experience,
嚟到去審斷我嘅作為，
and to judge my word,
你覺得恰當嗎？
do you think it's appropriate?
弟兄姊妹，今日我哋都係一樣，
Brothers and sisters, we are the same.
我哋用我哋自己嘅個人經歷
We use our own experiences
嚟到評論我哋嘅上帝，
to judge our God.
大家覺得應該？
Do you think this is appropriate?
經過咗上帝對約伯呢番説話之後，
So after these conversations from God to Job,
約伯記裏面出現咗一句咧非常之美麗嘅經文，
so Job has one very beautiful verse.
我相信大家都會認識呢段經文。
We think that everyone would know this verse.
當約伯聽完上帝所講嘅説話之後，佢發出呢一個嘅讚歎。
After Job heard what God said to him, this
我哋
is
一齊
what
講
Job
話
said.
好預備起。
我從此呼問有你，現在親眼看見你。
大家要記住，約伯發出呢個讚歎嘅時候，係喺佢得到神後來嘅賞賜嘅之前發生。
So when Job wrote this verse, this is before God gave him more than what he
約伯
had
仍然仲
before.
喺患難裏面嘅時候，佢聽到上帝對佢呢一番嘅説話，佢就發出呢一個嘅讚歎。
So this praise from Job is during the suffering.
我從前風聞有你，
My ears had heard of you,
現在我親眼看見你。
but now my eyes have seen you.
弟兄姊妹，喺今日我哋嘅眼睛裏面，我哋所見到嘅上帝係一個咩嘅上帝？
Brothers and sisters, from our eyes, what kind of God is it that we see?
定還是喺過往咁耐嘅日子嘅裏面，我哋眼中所見到嘅都只不過係我哋自己。
Or the God that we see is actually just ourselves?
我哋每日睇到嘅就只係我哋自己嘅需要，
And every day we only see our needs.
我哋每日所作嘅決定都係為咗我哋自己嘅喜樂。
And every decision we make is about ourselves, our joy.
當我哋每日用自己嘅感受、感覺嚟到去揸主意嘅時候，
And every day as we make decisions based on our feelings,
我哋就好似一日復一日咁樣嚟到去摘分別善惡樹嘅果子一樣。
it's just like day after day, we take a fruit from the knowledge of good and evil.
我哋將自己取代上帝，
We replace God with ourselves.
我哋用自己嘅想法主宰自己嘅生命，
We use our own thinking to control our
呢
lives.
個係好危險嘅。
This is very dangerous.
弟兄姊妹，我哋幾時願意嘅將我哋自己嘅感受去放低？
Brothers and sisters, when do we willing to put down our own feelings?
我哋幾時嘅將我哋自己嘅驕傲放低？
When did we willing to put down our pride?
我哋幾時將我哋自己肉體嘅快樂去放低？
When do we put down the fleshly desires of our body?
我哋就係將嗰個主權交還翻俾上帝。
We give the control back to God.
當然喺生命嘅裏面有好多嘅遭遇，唔係我哋咁容易能夠明白。
In life, there are a lot of things that we don't understand.
喺2星期前，我一個好嘅朋友係過世，
2 weeks ago, one of my best friends passed away.
佢係一位主內嘅好弟兄，
He is a great brother of mine.
佢留低妻子同埋兒女，
He left behind his wife and his 2 children.
非常之唔容易去面對。
It's very hard to face.
從人嘅角度嚟講，
From our humanly perspective,
呢個幾近乎係一個完全負面嘅影響嚟嘅。
the impact seems very negative.
但係正正就係因為人類嘅智慧所冇法子去捉摸，
And it's because of knowledge we can't understand.
我哋先至能夠可以嘗試去察驗上帝嘅意思係高過人嘅意思。
We can see that God's will is higher than our will.
我哋先至嘗試可以去體會上帝嘅道路係高過人嘅道路。
His way is higher than our ways.
而我哋都唯有咁樣嘅相信，
And we can only believe that.
先至能夠表現出我哋真正嘅順服。
And this would mean that we truly obey God.
呢個係一個信心嘅表現。
This is faith.
就係因為我袋裏面冇錢，
And just because I don't have any money in my
我仍然
pocket,
拎出我嘅所有嚟到去幫助人去周濟，
and I still take all I have to help the poor,
呢個就係一個信心嘅表現。
this is faith.
如果我袋裏面有幾百萬嘅話，就唔係好好事。
If I have a few millions in my pocket, this wouldn't have the same meaning.
呢個亦都係喺主嘅裏面，我哋立志敬虔度日嘅基督徒所要過嘅生活。
And this is us as Christians that we want to live a holy life.
縱使前面嘅我哋睇唔到有個出路，
Even though we can't see the light at the end of the
但係我
tunnel,
哋仍然嘅將信心嚟到先擺上。
still we put faith in our God.
創世記一開始嘅時候，俾我哋睇到亞當夏娃呢段故事，
In Genesis, we see the story of Adam and Eve.
睇到佢哋點樣嘅犯罪嘅一個嘅故事，
We can see how they sinned against God.
俾我哋清楚見到一個好重要嘅原則，
And it clearly shows us,
就係當我哋睇聖經嘅時候，一個好重要嘅一個原則。
so it helps us to see a very a biblical principle,
一個最基本嘅道理，
a very basic truth.
上帝係唯一嗰個嘅主宰，
God is the only God.
服從上帝係我哋活出基督徒生命意義嘅唯一嘅方法。
To obey God is the only way we can live out the purpose of God.
有時候我哋會覺得用一個咁簡單嘅一個識唔識呢個果子嚟到去決定生死、決定是非黑白係咪太過嚴重咧？
Sometimes I would think if our life and death are only determined by if we eat this fruit or not.
上帝俾我哋有自由意志係咪？
God gives us free will.
自由意志係一件好美麗嘅嘢。
So free will is a good thing.
喺佢實踐出嚟嘅時候，
But to act it out,
佢最寶貴嘅地方
the most precious thing,
唔係我哋能夠有得揀，
is not because we have a choice.
佢最寶貴嘅地方係縱使有得揀，
The most precious thing is
我哋都
even though we have a
寧願唔
choice,
揀，
we choose not to make this choice.
我哋將個主權交翻俾上帝，
We give God the full control
我
back.
哋讓佢嚟幫我哋選擇，
We let God to choose for us.
然後跟住我哋去選擇佢所為我哋選擇。
And then we choose what God has chosen for us.
甘心嘅順服，
To surrender and to obey
單單嘅憑信心，
and to have faith
只係去走上帝為我哋面前所預備嘅嗰條路。
and to only walk the path that God has prepared for us.
我哋一齊祈禱，
Let us pray.
天父，我哋感謝你，
Father God, I thank you
俾我哋從經文嘅裏面，我哋見到一個咁寶貴嘅功課。
and through the verses you teach us something very valuable.
讓我哋唔好去覺得主你嘅説話只係參考，
Let us not just use your words as reference
要叫我哋知道主你嘅説話係絕對，
and let us know that your words are the absolute.
而我哋唯有係聽你話，我哋先能夠揾到生命嘅意義。
And only by obeying you that we find the purpose of life.
求天父你俾我哋喺新嘅一年裏面學呢個功課，
God, help us to learn this in this new year.
幫助我哋。
Help us.
人係軟弱，
We are weak.
求主你叫我哋變剛強。
Please help us to be strong.
喺主你嘅裏面，我哋能夠勝過呢啲嘅時間。
And in God, we have victory over all the temptations.
我哋咁樣祈禱，奉主耶穌基督嘅名。
We pray in Jesus' precious name.
Amen.
Amen.
我哋今日大家可能會發現一樣嘅嘢，
And today, you guys might have noticed
不論咧大家由入門口嗰一刻開始，又或者嚟到台前面做主席做翻譯嘅咁多位嘅弟兄姊妹，
as you come in from the ushers and from all of us serving on stage,
佢哋全部都係嚟緊我哋英語崇拜嘅，佢哋會擔任服侍嘅弟兄姊妹。
so we are all part of the team that will be serving in the new English service.
弟兄姊妹，我想講嘅係我哋係戰戰兢兢嘅面對呢一個嘅服侍。
Brothers and sisters, we are trembling as we take up this ministry.
我哋一樣嘅有好多擔心，
We have a lot of worries,
但係我哋見到上帝將呢個異象擺喺我哋面前，
but we see that God put this vision in us
嚟到去服侍嗰啲係用英文作為佢哋母語嘅人。
and to serve people who first language is English.
呢個係我哋紐西蘭華僑基督教會嘅一個新嘅福音事工嘅方向。
And this is the new gospel ministry of our church and the CMC.
可能你未必會係喺當中嘅參與，
You probably won't be involved in this ministry,
甚至你會覺得同你根本冇關係。
or maybe you think that it's not relevant to me.
但我好盼望嘅，
But I really hope that
你最起碼為我哋禱告。
you can pray for us.
可能你未必喺當中直接嘅參與，
Maybe you're not involved directly,
但係禱告嘅力量係非常之大。
but the power of prayer is really great.
我哋每一位嘅同工都好需要大家喺禱告上面嘅支持。
All of us who's serving in this ministry, we need your prayers.
多謝大家。
Thank you.